Taking your pill? Why don't you get up?
I'm fulfilling my biological function.
Doesn't make you a prisoner. Ask your friends round.
My friends, they're yours. All of them. You just want them to spy on me. It's you they stand by. I'm just the little typist who got into the stud book.
I moved out in January 1973. I felt that the nature of our relationship was beginning to damage the children.
And when you separated from your wife, did you ever worry that she might do herself or the children harm?
I think you have to have that fear, don't you, where anyone with a psychiatric history is concerned?
Of course. And it does you credit. The careful watch you kept over the house from a distance and the hiring of private detectives, wasn't all this in an effort to see her and the children safe?
It was.
As part of the custody arrangement, you had the children every other weekend and for holidays. Were you ever tempted to abuse these terms and keep the children on?
That would have been wrong, no.
And even when taking the children on holiday abroad, did you always return them exactly on time?
Always.
To turn to another matter, we've heard already from a Mr. Greville Howard about a conversation that you and he had. What were the circumstances?
I was feeling below par and had had too much to drink.
And do you deny saying how much easier it would be just to get rid of my wife?
No, it was a kind of grim humor most people get into when they're under stress. You say stupid things and think they're funny.
Now, let us move on to the day in question, November the 7th. What were your movements, say, from 6 o'clock that evening?
I saw an old friend, Michael Hicks Beach, at 6:30 at my flat and drove him back to his home in Chelsea. Leaving there at about 5 to 8, I drove back via Berkeley Square, stopping outside the Claremont Club for a moment.
And did you speak to anyone there?
Yes, Edgson, the linkman.
Some people would call him the doorman.
Yes.
What time was that?
9:15.
9:15. A very significant time to take note of. And then?
Drove back to my flat to change about 5 to 9. There was no need to hurry. So, before changing, I took a walk round by Lower Belgrave Street.
And why did you do that?
To keep an eye on things at the house, the children.
Did you do that frequently?
Yes.
How frequently?
Say, twice, perhaps 3 times a week, sometimes less, sometimes more.
And what happened as you walked past on this occasion?
I heard something from down in the basement. A scuffle, bumping. An odd noise that could have been my wife crying out.
Where is he?
I ran down the basement stairs looking for the man, but at the bottom I slipped in a pool of blood and the man rushed back past me.
Why would he do that?
I suppose he'd been trying to get out at the back, but there's only a walled-in garden out there.
Could you describe him?
I only caught a glimpse. A big man, that's all I can say.
And what did you do then?
I turned on the light by the piano in the back basement.
What did you see?
The blood. The sack. I was standing right by it. I could see the body in it.
Could you recognize Mrs. Rivet?
No, it was all so appalling. I turned the light off and made my way back up the stairs to help my wife.
And what condition was she in?
Terrible. She was half unconscious, moaning incoherently. She came to then and started to scream repeatedly. I had to stop her. The children would hear. I was trying to shake her by the shoulders. It was pretty dark. I was desperate to stop the children seeing what I had seen.
Did she stop?
She fought me and struggled. Eventually, we both sat on the stairs.
And what did she say?
She said, someone's killed Sandra, and you paid him to do it.
I object, my lord.
She said you paid him to come and kill me, and he's killed Sandra.
With respect, my lord, if Lady Lucan is not allowed to give her version of that conversation, why should Lord Lucan be allowed to do so?
I'm against you, Sir Charles. Lord Lucan's evidence of what his wife said is admissible, as you know full well.
Lord.
As your lordship pleases. Lord Lucan, did you attempt to murder your wife?
No.
Were you responsible for the murder of Sandra Rivet?
No.
Thank you, Lord Lucan.
After Lady Lucan went out of the house to the Plumber's Arms, why did you run for it?
I did not run for it.
You immediately got in that car and drove to New Haven. You were running away.
No.
Why couldn't you face the police?
Because an injustice would have been done.
What injustice?
That I would be wrongly accused by my wife, and she would be believed.
Why should she be believed rather than you?
Because she's an unstable woman who can give all the appearance of normality when she wants to.
Or is that the picture of her you'd always wanted people to have, a picture of mental instability that might have led to you claiming the children back?
That's not true.
But you did want the children back.
Yes, of course.
You wanted them back to the point of absolute obsession, is that not right?
That's a meaningless question.
Then let me make it meaningful. Did you bring pressure to bear on the nannies employed by your wife to leave so that Lady Lucan would seem incapable of keeping them?
I only asked those to leave who I thought totally unsuitable.
Isn't it contemptible to make yourself out to be the honorable, caring father when in reality getting the children back was your motive for murder?
How many times do I have to repeat? I went into the house to prevent murder.
All right. Let's return to your getaway afterwards. Why did you use a borrowed car instead of your own?
You suggested I tried openly to undermine my wife. I borrowed that car a week or so before, so I could watch the house without her knowing I was there. I didn't want to threaten. Far from it. I used a disguise. The hatch you found, the make of car I never normally drove.
I put it to you that you borrowed the car as part of your murder plan, because it would be less conspicuous when it came to taking the body away.
I did not commit murder.
How then do you account for the fact that when the car was searched in New Haven, it contained a weapon almost identical to the murder weapon?
I took it out of the house with me. It was lying where the intruder must have left it, by the hall cloakroom door.
So, you are saying that this resourceful intruder brought 2 lead pipes into the house?
Yes, I am. He must have.
Why then did you take the spare with you when you left?
I thought the man might still be hanging about nearby. I needed it to defend myself.
Is it not obvious that you made or acquired both weapons, used one as part of your plan, and when the plan misfired, drove away, forgetting that the other weapon was still in the boot?
I may have forgotten it was there, but not why I put it there.
Sorry, Lord Lucan, but you deceive no one, least of all the jury. Isn't your story one that bears the hallmark of being engineered to fit the facts?
No.
When you left the house, what did you do then?
I telephoned a neighbor to ask her to take care of the children, but was too shocked to speak.
Too shocked to speak. So what did you do then?
Rang my mother with the same purpose.
What time was that?
About 10:15.
And were you able to speak to her?
Yes.
What did you say?
Asked her to take care of the children and ran through what had happened.
You mean you told her substantially what you've told the court?
Yes.
Members of the jury must now ask themselves how an account which fits all the facts could possibly be engineered in 15 minutes by a man in a state of shock. And if it has not been engineered, it is the truth. This is the latest we can leave it. You must decide. Let your daughter give evidence.
Cut the cards.
John, you can't make this a gambling thing.
Highest wins. Only if she feels up to it. I'd already made up my mind before you came in.
As linkman or doorman at the Claremont Club in Berkeley Square, you should have a good memory for times. Is that so?
I have to have.
What time was it when Lord Lucan stopped his car and spoke to you?
9:15. Give or take a minute or two either way. 9:15.
You're quite sure?
Yes. I'd only come on at 8, so I had a good idea of the time.
Did Lord Lucan have anything particular to say?
He just wanted to know the usual, whether any of the players he knew were in the club, and I said none of them, my lord.
Call Lady Frances Bingham.
With your permission, my lord.
Certainly, Sir James. Lady Frances, please feel very relaxed. All we wish to know is what you honestly remember.
Lady Frances, what time did you go down to your mother's room when you'd finished playing?
9:20.
And was Sandra there?
No, she'd just gone down to make the tea.
Why can you be so certain?
Because it was not long after $60 Million Man finished. At 8:30.
And you're sure that was the program that you'd all been watching before you went upstairs?
Yes.
So, how long were you in your room playing?
Only about 10 minutes.
Well, I'm not too good at arithmetic, but does that mean that you went back down at 9:20, as you said?
Yes.
When the nanny had already gone down to the basement?
Yes, she had.
You do know the importance of remembering the exact times, don't you?
Yes.
Because what you told the court, Lady Frances, would mean that when this terrible event happened to your nanny, that your father could not have been involved at all because he was 2 miles away, outside the Claremont Club in Berkeley Square, where the doorman saw him at 9:15. So you're sure that you've remembered exactly?
Quite sure.
You've been very brave and immensely helpful. You just wait there 1 minute.
Lady Frances, the weekend when you were last with your father before this tragic event, he asked you a particular question about the nanny, did he not?
Yes.
What was that question?
He asked when she had her night off.
And what did you tell him?
Thursday.
Lady Frances, how old are you?
10 3/4.
And when these dreadful events happened, how old were you then?
10.
November of last year is a long time ago. Are you really so sure you remember all the times you have given so precisely?
Well, I made my statement to the police ladies, you see, so that helped me get it right.
Yes, yes, of course. But even that was quite a while after the events. And yet you say you remember that you were playing in your room for 10 minutes?
I said about 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes, so it could have been 12?
Yes.
Or 15?
No, not 15.
You were playing with your games, weren't you?
Yes.
Strange as it may seem, I used to play with my games in my room. And when I did so, I lost all account of time. I got so engrossed. But I think you have a natural talent for remembering times. Do you?
I don't know.
Well, there's a simple way of testing it. If I ask you, for instance, how long have you been standing in the witness box? Would you say 1 minute? Or 2? Or 3?
2.
Well, you see, it's not so easy. And I think your answer is better than mine would have been. You've actually been there 5 minutes. Thank you, Lady Francis.
That concludes the case for the defense, my lord.
Do you wish to proceed with your closing remarks, Sir James?
May it please your lordship. Members of the jury, this has been a long and exacting trial, and a time for painful recollection. The gap between the prosecution and the defense is a matter more of confusion and misunderstanding than one person's version of a story against another's.
You could have come back. You should have come back. I wanted you to. I'd have said, fine, you're back. Didn't change the locks, you see. I'm sorry I got afraid of you like that. I wouldn't now.
Do you have something to say?
You're letting them decide. I don't mean the jury, I mean them. They don't know what marriage means. They just want us apart.
Any more?
I think you wish now you'd done it, don't you? So do I. If you'd persuaded yourself it would be better for you and the children, who am I to be alive? 4 happinesses against 1. It's better all round. But I wouldn't know anything. I'd be dead, like Sandra.
Finished.
But I can't see which way to go.
Thank you.
I came here to say that I forgive you. Whichever way it goes, I'm with you.
I don't care which way it goes. It's inside where it counts. In here. Whatever they say, it won't be over.
Will the foreman please stand? Will you please answer my first question, yes or no? In respect of either count, have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
In respect of the first count, namely the murder of Sandra Rivet, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
In respect of the second count, namely the attempted murder of Lady Lucan, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And is that the verdict of you all?
It is.